Namaste and welcome back to my channel. This is Dr. Danny, physician astrologer. Today's presentation is about the next full moon on Friday, the 21st. The Farmer's Almanac calls this a strawberry moon, which is wonderful, but there's also a dozen other names for this particular moon. The European nations call this a honey moon, which when I saw that, I just lit up because I recently had my wedding anniversary. And I remember when my husband and I got married, we went to Mexico for our honeymoon. It was so wonderful. It was like our first big expensive trip as young people. And we were just so excited. And it was a full moon while we were there. And the people that worked at the resort called the moon La Luna Llena, which is basically just means full moon in Spanish. But uh, to to get married in June on a waxing moon and to have a full moon on your honeymoon is considered a great blessing. So it just lit me up. And what I wanted to do was talk a little bit to you guys about bees, about honey, the spiritual significance of both of those things, and how they tie into this full moon sun axis. We've been talking, you guys know that a full moon is obviously an opposition in astrology. When you're looking at the moon, it is full, it is across the sky from the sun in 180 degrees. And in constellational astrology, the moon will be in just a few degrees of Sagittarius after passing over the galactic center, which is called the Golden Gate or the Gateway of Souls. And recently, Venus and Mercury crossed over the Silver Gate on the other side of the sky, which I'll show you guys in a minute. And now the sun is at that point. And the reason this full moon is also special is because it's the day after the solstice. For the Northern Hemisphere, it's the summer solstice. And for the Southern Hemisphere, it is the winter solstice. So you have Mercury and Venus at the Silver Gate, the gateway of men, the sun crossing this particular point during the solstice in the constellation of Gemini. So we have a Gemini Sagittarius axis, and Gemini is very much about knowledge, attaining knowledge, exchange of knowledge. Mercury rules Gemini. And then the moon will be in Sagittarius, which is higher wisdom. So the title of this talk is The Knowledge We Seek is the Wisdom Within, really ties into this honey theme. So we're going to get all into that in just a minute. I have a few slides I want to show you. We're just going to go over some bee and honey information, and then we'll jump right into the chart. So announcement one, the Neptune class, which will go live on Monday, the 24th at 6:30 p.m. A couple of points about this. Number one, I have on the website learn.drdanny.com, I have made payment options. So if you want to join this class, you can do it for very little money and then pay monthly if you want to. It's already a pretty affordable class. I will have a guest speaker named Maria Schumacher. She's a Wiccan priestess and has a lot of very unique and modern information about Neptune that I want to share with you guys. And I think she's going to be just a fantastic addition to the way that we do live classes. The class will be recorded, so if you can't come, you can still enroll in the class, and then it'll be in your course module later. There is also a very nice guided meditation with music, original music created by me with the cosmic octave frequency of Neptune. It's a guided meditation. I take you to Neptune. We meditate there, and we chant the Vedic mantra to Neptune, as well as the seed mantra for the third eye. So it's also a third eye activation. So I really would love for you all to join us on that class. The second announcement I want to make is that on Wednesday, we are going to go live at 6:30 p.m. Central Daylight. We are going to talk about the solstice. In particular, we're going to talk about the next 6 months of energy. We're going to hang out a little bit. And then at the end, we're going to do a solstice solar activation meditation. It'll be really quick, probably about 7 to 10 minutes. So I hope you guys can join us. The links are all down below. So let's get into this. This is so cool. All right. So let me talk first a little bit about bees, and then I'll go into some. I didn't make a slide for honey, but basically just some history about bee energy, why it's spiritual, why it's important. The Minoans worshipped goddesses with wings and striped bodies. They also had a lot of beehive motifs throughout their sculptures, their art, and their statuaries. In ancient Egypt, the bee was associated with power and kingship, and the hieroglyph for the kingdom of Lower Egypt was a bee. The priests who protected the Dead Sea Scrolls were known as bees, okay? The oracle at Delphi was shaped like a beehive, and the chief priestess was known as the Delphic bee. The god Dionysus returned to life in the form of a bee after being killed, and the god Pan had beekeeping among his many divine responsibilities. Bees represent certain things spiritually. So if you see a lot of bees, it could mean that, it represents collaboration and hard work. Bees are vital for the survival of many, many other species. Bees are also connected with new life, and they're associated with productivity and wealth. Now, if you see a bee in your home, this could represent harmony and security in your domestic relationships. If you see a bee in your car, this could represent your emotional state. Now, think about it. If a bee is in your car and you're very calm and you're like, oh, there's a bee in my car, and you just roll down the window, let the bee go. Or the bee lands on you and is very friendly. Or if you're just sitting there, maybe at a stoplight or in the parking space and the bee lands on you, and you're calm, then that's good. Now, if the bee like startles you and you grab onto the steering wheel or you lose control of your car, that could be a bad thing. So if it's in your car, it represents the emotional state you're in and how you react to the bee. A beehive is a powerful metaphor, the interconnectedness of all living things. And bee stings are a reminder of your own power and that things always change. A dead bee means prepare yourself for change. And then a queen bee embodies the feminine energy and power. If you want more information on this, you can go to buzzaboutbees.net. That's where I got most of this information. And then let's just talk a little bit about bees and religion. So bees are quoted in the Bible a little bit too. Eat honey, my son, for it is good. Honey from the comb is sweet to your taste. Know that wisdom is like honey for you. If you find it, there's a future hope for you, and your hope will not be cut off. From Proverbs 24. And then from Isaiah 7, he will be eating curds and honey when he knows enough to reject the wrong and choose the right. So what does this mean, right? So the reason I'm talking about bees when we're associating with Gemini is if you think about insects, they're very much like Mercury energy. They're always buzzing to and fro and, getting in your face and flying over there. And what bees do is super important. They help pollinate the flowers. They're out there connecting and intermingling with all the flowers, and then they bring this pollen back home. And together, as a group, they make this life-giving sustenance, which is honey. Honey can be thought of as a blessing of abundance. So in various spiritual writings and customs, the spiritual meaning of honey appears to be in God's provision of abundance and the giving of something sweet and good to eat. Honey and wisdom. The meaning of honey also appears to be linked with wisdom. Oh, here we go. Honey is also used for medicine, for cures, for things like that. So honey is pretty important. What the bees do, it talks about a service to others. So the beehive mentality is that the one bee is not the most important thing. It's the whole collective of the bees. So we can learn from the bees in that way. So yeah, a lot of very profound spiritual information here. And when you look at honey as knowledge, which is what we're getting at here with this axis of the moon and the sun, is that the bees go out to seek the knowledge, right? They're going out, they're going outward into their local area, to the local flowers, pollinating the flowers, and bringing back the local knowledge of the flowers. Then the bees, in their innate wisdom, create the life sustaining honey. So the knowledge that we seek is the wisdom within. So let's share the screen again. We're going to look at the chart. But before I do that, I want to show you the sky. We always look at the sky. So this is the 21st of June, which will be the full moon. Here you can see the sun right at the Silver Gate. This is where Venus was just a few days ago. Now Venus is in Gemini. And here's the star Sirius. So they rise together which is pretty cool. So that means it's a conjunction, even though Sirius is not on the ecliptic. When you look at a chart, I'll show you in a second. So there you have it. Gemini, Mercury, Venus, and Sun starting on Friday. This is a portal. This is the gateway of men. This is the silver gate. And all the way across the sky, we're going to see this amazing, incredible, I have to zoom out a little, full moon. And there it is. Where is that moon, you guys? What is this constellation? This is Sagittarius. This is Scorpio. This is Ophiuchus. What is this blob? This is the galactic center. This is the golden gate. This is the gateway of souls. This is the portal to the ascended masters. This is where they go through. This is Xibalba, the dark road of the Mayans. What's so fascinating about this particular axis right here, when you think about the Mayans and their long count calendar, they basically were waiting for the alignment of the winter solstice when the sun is right here with the galactic center. And this happened in 2012. This was the end of their cycle. So it's a new cycle. It's a new portal. It's going to feel very different once this moon passes, you guys. This waxing moon, moons in general, as they swell through their cycle, the full moon comes and it's a time to disseminate. It's a time to let go, you know. Gemini energy is the sponge, and Sagittarius is always searching. And there's some harsh aspects on this moon, you guys. So let's take a look at the astrology, because I want to show you some of these harsh aspects. They're not all bad, but I think if we can consciously deal with some of these aspects rather than unconsciously react, we're going to be in a lot better space. And that's why we do these reports. Okay, so let's get into this. Let's talk about Sun, Mercury, and Venus all in Gemini. What do these energies mean? Because this is one side of this energy. The sun in Gemini, this is the highest expression of your spiritual self. It's the outward radiance. It's your masculine energy. It's your will. It's your father energy. The sun is the giver of life. It is source. Mercury's in Gemini. Enlightenment through knowledge. That's how he attains his wisdom, through the transmission and the reception of truth. And then you got Venus there. She attains enlightenment through and wisdom through the senses, not just the physical, but also the emotional and the spiritual. So you have this hot, giant white star in the sky. Venus is the star inside of you. That tiny hot white sun inside of you, brimming with creation, love, and beauty. And so when you think of Mercury and Venus together, you get the right and left hemispheres of the brain, right? You know, Venus experiences things. She grabs that apple or that honey and she notices the viscosity of it, tastes the sweetness of it, feels the stickiness of it, smells the wonderful aroma. While Mercury might know everything about the bee that made the honey, right? Might know where the pollen came from, where the honey actually was created. And then you have this Taurus Gemini portal, this gateway of men that we've referred to. It's a cosmic portal where spirit becomes flesh. And on the other side, we have the golden gate with Ophiuchus and Scorpio, which is where we ascend from flesh back to spirit. And Taurus is all that stuff that you have. It's all the things. It's the abundant, beautiful earth. It's the right here. It's the right now. It can also be stuck in one place. Then we move into that Gemini energy, that airy energy, where it's knowledge, it's learning, it's teaching, it's being with the people in the flesh around you, siblings, friends, and platonic relationships. So we're shoving all this personal energy through this cosmic portal. And I wonder if this full moon is going to feel like we're waiting to get to our floor in this very slow moving elevator in a very tall building. The full moon might come and we might look around and go, okay, what's supposed to happen? This is what this feels like for me. And I'll get into it when we look at all these energies. But this may be because, like I said, this is a cosmic node. This is where the ecliptic of the solar system, which is this, crosses the greater ecliptic of our galaxy, which is this. And whenever you have that, these 2 points where they cross, this is the Golden Gate and this is the Silver Gate. It's just like when we have the moon and the sun crossing the nodes, the lunar nodes. This is not actually a luminary. This is a point in space where the Earth's ecliptic, where the moon goes around it, crosses the solar system ecliptic. Okay, so these 2 ecliptical points creates this node. These are the galactic nodes. They, if you have noticed, form almost a perfect cross here in the middle. Not quite. It's a little bit more oblique on this side. So this feels similar to what we could expect during maybe a solar or lunar eclipse. We could also experience a purging. The energy of Gemini is programming. And a lot of times when energy moves through that Gemini portal, the 2 pillars, there is a purging, because when you move through a pillar, a portal, a pillar of portals, a portal of pillars, you necessarily have to let stuff go. You can't bring things with you through a portal. It just doesn't work. It's like totally stripping down completely naked, bare soul, going through the portal, learning the wisdom, and then, beginning on the other side. Yeah, you just can't bring some things to your next level of awareness. So, and that's just the sun energy, right? This is just the sun, Venus, and Mercury moving through this portal space. So do me a favor, guys. If you like my content, if you love this video, give me thumbs up. Please subscribe if you're lurking. And then you want to hit that notify bell too, because that tells YouTube that you want to see my videos when the moment they go live or the moment they drop. Okay. Also, I'd love it if y'all join the Fellowship of 13 Signs and follow me on Facebook. I'll leave links down there below. All right, let's talk about this moon. The moon is next because that's in opposition to the sun, okay? So the sun is just one energy. The moon is the other energy. Sagittarius, home of Jupiter, right? Jupiter, expansion, faith, abundance, overdoing it. In Sagittarius, his home space, which is learning, higher knowledge, trust, believing. I mean, this is the centaur archer, right? You have the half man, half horse with the bow and arrow. And if you look at the constellation, let's do that real quick. Let's take in this constellation of Sagittarius. Look at him. He's pointing his arrow directly at the moon almost. Directly at the darkness, at the void of this galactic center. Now, if you can't see your target and you let that arrow loose, how do you know it's going to hit the target, right? That's where the faith comes in, okay? You're shooting it into the darkness. You have a sense, you have a knowing, you have wisdom when you pull that string back and that arrow back and that tension. And you have to let it go and just be okay that the arrow's gone, that the arrow has been loosed. So that's where the faith of Sagittarius comes. So remember, though, this moon opposes the sun. So the sun's that outward expression, that radiance, that masculine energy. The moon's that feminine, inward, magnetizing energy. It's the mother. And it's reflecting all that sun Gemini energy. Venus and Mercury just gone through that silver gate. And now the moon has just gone through the golden gate. And there's a transfer of energy here. There's an energy coming in through the silver gate here. And then there is a ascension of energy out of the golden gate. So where are you on this axis? Golden, silver. Is this a process that you can feel too metaphysically? Sure. Are there things that you can let go of, let be promoted to the next level? Is there new energy that you can bring in? Absolutely, absolutely. So this is going to feel weird. This is a weird full moon for me. It's not going to be all bad, but it is definitely going to change things. Let's talk about some of these aspects, these harsher aspects. So Venus, Sun, and Mercury are going to be squaring on the lunar nodes. This happens twice a year. Once on this side in Gemini and once on the other side, at least right now. It depends on where the nodal axis is. So when Venus is square to the nodes, we get a tension in our creative space from where we're going and where we want to go, where we're going and where we've been. And it really does mean stepping outside of the comfort zone in terms of what we're willing to create, what we're willing to reassess in terms of value and the love of creation. Mercury's also experiencing a tension of where he's going, where he's been. So where are we going with these nodes? This node is in Pisces, this north node, that's our collective destiny. And the south node is here in Virgo, which is our collective past, our collective karma, patterns, habits, remembering where we came from and moving towards universal love and oneness. And so how does Mercury change what he's doing in order to move towards that energy of love and oneness? We just had an eclipse there. Mercury and Venus and Sun were just there 2 months ago. They are all moving towards the south node. They're actually at a peak right now, because when you cross the north node, you're going up above the ecliptic. And when you cross the south node, you're going below the ecliptic. So not only do we have, at least in the northern hemisphere, the sun at its highest point, but the nodes are highlighting that it is above the ecliptic. So the moon is below the lunar node ecliptic, and the sun is above it. So yeah, there's all this energy kind of lining up in squares, setting up a structure almost. So it really is important here, I think, as all these energies move through this silver gate, this energy of men, there's a new energy coming in. That you're going to have to break patterns, okay? You're going to have to do something new, do something different, change what you've always been doing. This energy also squares on Neptune, because Neptune's pretty close to that north node, and these guys are a little bit spread out. But the sun will also do this in just a few days. So right now you've got Venus squaring onto Neptune, but close enough to Mercury and Sun that it's a combined energy as well. So this is a tension between our expression, our creation, and our mind and our spirituality. And it could potentially be very draining. You know, our spiritual practices come into question because squaring both the sun and the moon, this Neptune energy is draining. It's pulling us away. It could also be saying, hey, we need to pay attention to these higher matters. Because as this new energy comes into this realm, it needs to have a spiritual flavor to it. It needs to be creative, perhaps. Perhaps your spiritual practices will change. Perhaps the way that you look at spirit may change. So a lot of really deep internal things are going on here with this particular axis and these squares. Neptune wants to merge into the limitless, but all this personal energy is very concrete, very articulatable with the Gemini knowledge. This energy also very much sextiles on Mars, which is nice. This is another personal planet giving us inspired action that's fresh and new into the constellation of Aries. This is Mars's home turf. He's finally back from his journey around the zodiac, leaving the final constellation of Pisces, the dream within the dream, going through the spiritual quest, and is now returning home, rejuvenating, getting ready for the next journey around the zodiac. So that Martian energy sextiling on this Sun, Mercury, Venus gives us an opportunity to combine the best of all of the Mercury, Venus, Sun archetype with the best of that Martian new beginning, fresh entrepreneurial energy. So think of that creative energy being created in the mind, being disseminated by Mercury, being expressed by the Sun, and then having a structure or a way to move forward. It's really, really quite beautiful. So that's a really nice aspect for this full moon. Then you've got this energy quincunxing onto Pluto. This is an in conjunct. This means, in conjunct, which is almost in opposition. And I just want to draw your attention to some future energy that is coming in just a few weeks. This will be the opposition to Pluto. Okay, Mercury is just a few weeks to this space. Venus is just a few weeks to this space, and then the sun will be here very shortly as well. So last year when Pluto was squaring our nodes and these personal planets all traversed the opposition to Pluto, there was a tremendous amount of purging going on, a letting go in an empowering way. And an inconjunct is kind of like a clue that this is going to happen. So between this silver gate and this moment is really literally just a month. And so maybe instead of unconsciously reacting to that which needs to be purged, this cycle, this moon is saying, okay, here it is. This is when you purge it now. Do it consciously. Because when it comes here in about a month, if it's conscious, it's a little less painful. It's a little more helpful. We have a little bit more insight to what's going on. All right, I want to comment real quickly on the moon squaring onto Neptune in particular, because this creates an emotional, nebulous, feminine subtlety and depth. There's also a bit of a melancholy here. It's really quick, right? So the moon moves, a degree or 2 degrees every hour or so. So it won't be there for very long, but this is Friday night. So we may feel a little bit melancholic here. There are harsh alignments right here. This is challenging us to level up, to upgrade, to take action, and to make change. And Neptune doesn't want to do it. Neptune kind of likes where he's at. But to Neptune, it doesn't really matter. So, whatever choice you make, Neptune will go along with it. Neptune can also be a source of illusion. Neptune's also going to go retrograde later this month, so the veil might lift a little bit. We'll talk about that. I'm actually going to write an article about Neptune going retrograde as well as Saturn. Okay, cool. So let's just talk a little bit about some of these bigger planets, because these are the energies that are with us for a while, not just for this particular full moon, but are always there. So whenever I do a reading with you guys, even if it's for a particular astrological event, I will always show you what's going on in your chart with the sky right now, because it gives you a foundational energy for what the shorter transits will do to you. All right. So we still have Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus. I have mentioned before, but I want to mention this again, that I want you all to really, really watch. This is going to be slow, and it won't happen really until the end of this year, next year. But as Uranus and Alcyon get close together, watch the economies, watch your pocketbook, watch for new opportunities to make money, okay? Also, don't be too surprised if things get shooken up. Chaos, financial chaos is here. This will be around 2025, so in about 6 months. Okay? Start watching for that. These two just had their big conjunction back in, I think it was April or May, and that was very nice. There's a lot of big change going on with that. Let's see, this energy trines onto the south node, or Jupiter does. So you have an abundant expression of energy that you're used to right now that you can use for your abundance, things that you know how to do, things that you're comfortable with. They flow very easily right now. So enjoy this, okay? Enjoy this while it lasts. The month of the last half of June and the beginning of July have a lot of squares and angles, and it can be a little bit tough. So enjoy this weekend. Enjoy the early part of this week. Just be ready for some big changes. And then Saturn is right here. Look at this. Astronomical astrologers who follow the IAU boundaries will say that Saturn is in Pisces right now. Tropical astrologers have Saturn way over here in Pisces. But if you look at the midpoints, which kind of makes sense, it's like, where's the middle of these two energies? It's right here. Saturn's on the very cusp. And on the 29th, Saturn is going to go retrograde. Okay, so this planet will go retrograde, and per this system of midpoints, will not actually enter into Pisces. So Saturn's basically stationed right now for the rest of the month. Then he'll go backwards for a little bit into Aquarius, and then next year we'll enter into Pisces. So that is about to happen in a couple of weeks. Pluto is now retrograde, still on the cusp of Capricorn, and will, in the next month or so, slightly ingress into Sagittarius, and then and once he turns direct again, we'll make his final pass into Capricorn for good. Okay, and then Neptune will be in Pisces until 2040. So we're going to have Neptune there for quite a long time. All right, guys, so that is my full moon report. I hope you all enjoyed that. I do enjoy bringing you these energies. It's part of my creative process. It helps me guide my own life through the stars and the energies that are coming. And I call it soul guided living through astrology. I watch the stars. I make plans based on the stars. And a lot of times it works out a lot better than it would have if I was just reacting to what might happen. Okay. So the things that I offer to you, the things that I provide for you to join our community are so that you can also share in this innate wisdom that we have. We are creatures of this earth. We were born under the stars. We live under the stars. The very molecules that make up our bodies have come from the stars. We are so connected to the stars on so many levels. So it makes sense to me to look at the sky, to watch the stars, and to anticipate what I might need to do using that inner wisdom that is, you know, the gift from spirit to me as a human. So at any rate, I will see you guys on Wednesday night for our live solstice review, mid-year review, I should call it, and then our solstice activation at the end. 6:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time on Wednesday the 19th. And then the solstice is Thursday and this full moon is Friday. So big week coming up. And I'm here for you if you need me. All pertinent links are below. I love you, my friends. Namaste.